Hey, Green Nation! The vibe today is one of tension and expectation. We've got 4 major stories brewing in Celtics Nation, and you gotta stay on top of every detail. One of our star players is facing a physical challenge that could impact our entire playoff run. Meanwhile, another superstar is determined to shut up the critics and prove why he deserves respect. And it doesn't stop there. There's behind-the-scenes action that could change the course of our season. Trust me, you won't want to miss any of these revelations. So sit tight, hit that like button, and let's dive straight into the news. If there's one thing keeping Celtics fans up at night recently, it's Jaylen Brown's situation. The final stretch of the regular season revealed an uncomfortable truth. He's not 100%. And no, this isn't a rumor or speculation. It's clear as day. The pain on his face, the reduced minutes, and his absence in crunch time, like the fourth quarter and overtime, say it all. For instance, against the Knicks, he only played 22 minutes. That's right, in a game that went to overtime. And here's where the dilemma kicks in. Do we rest him now and have him healthy for later, or push him and risk further injury? The Celtics chose to play it safe. Brown played just 63 games this season, missing out on eligibility for individual awards because he didn't hit the required 65 games. But you know what? Right now, who cares about the awards? What's on the line is the chance to repeat our title. And for that, he needs to be healthy. What up? Knee injury has been bothering him for weeks. The medical team has been doing everything they can. Rest, treatment, even psychological support. Because playing through pain messes with your mind. And Jaylen Brown didn't hide it in a recent interview. My team knows I'm in pain, but they trust I can manage my body and still make plays. That's tough. That's warrior mentality, but it's dangerous. The intensity of a 7-game playoff series doesn't forgive. And if we think about it coldly, the hole could be deeper. Let's say Brown pushes through the first round and helps us advance. Great. But what about the second round? What if he has to rest in games 3 and 4? What if his knee locks up in the conference finals? That's the real fear of the coaching staff. That's the real fear of the fans, because Brown is more than a scorer. He's our defensive soul. He's our speed in transition. He's the explosiveness when the defense tightens up. And right now, all of that is limited. The Celtics have depth. We have a team, but no one can replace the impact of a fully healthy Brown. And that impact is at risk. The knee pain isn't new, but it's gotten worse. His minutes on the court have dropped dramatically. 29 against Miami, 28 against Phoenix, 22 against the Wizards. This isn't about rotation. It's a clear effort to avoid a physical breakdown. And now the big question, and I want you to answer in the comments, can we trust that Jaylen Brown will hold up in the playoffs? From 1 to 10, how worried are you about him? Because if your answer is higher than 7, well, buckle up. Because we're going to need someone to carry this team. And guess who that's going to be? Yes, you guessed it. Jayson Tatum. But wait, what's going on with our Andrzio is even more mind-blowing. Now, friends, the focus shifts to Jayson Tatum, who has more than just a personal mission in the 2025 playoffs. He has a message for the NBA world. The guy has already won a title, was the finals MVP. But what he hears most these days is something no one should be saying. It's not enough. I don't know about you, but when Tatum looked at his mom on the stage after the championship and said, "What are they going to say now?" I felt the weight of that phrase, because he knew what was coming next. Once again, the critics were there, ready to unload their disrespect on him. And ironically, the more he wins, the more he's surrounded by that poison. He brought the Celtics a title, but it seems like the world still doesn't recognize the magnitude of his greatness. Kendrick Perkins, former player and commentator, hit the nail on the head. Tatum has more than a title. He's got something even bigger to prove. He said that for many, Tatum is still chasing a regular season MVP or a string of performances that will finally shut up his critics once and for all. And it's not an exaggeration. He's still compared to names like LeBron and Steph, and despite being the centerpiece of the best team in the NBA, he still doesn't have the recognition he deserves. So what happens when you're disrespected, but still lead the team in every category? Points, rebounds, assists, and even defense. For Tatum, the answer lies in an uncontrollable motivation. He knows he has to go beyond to finally be seen for who he really is. You don't have to be a basketball expert to understand that Tatum has what it takes to be the best in the league. The guy is averaging 30 points per game, but it's not just that. The number of clutch plays in the most critical moments of games is climbing in his career. What's he gonna do with that in the playoffs? And he still has something else that's going to weigh heavily in his bag: the lack of post-title recognition. Some still argue the finals MVP was questionable, that he could have done more, that the Celtics depended on others to win the championship. But that's the fuel Tatum will use to explode in the playoffs. He knows he needs more, and he has so much more to give. The great irony, he's already accomplished what few ever will. But is it enough for those who still don't believe he's the best player in the league? Maybe now he'll shut those mouths, not just with a title, but with another finals MVP, because the guy's coming for war in 2025 with a chip on his shoulder. The pressure on Tatum is massive. But what if he actually proves himself? What if this thirst for vengeance is the motivation he needed to take the Celtics to another title? Because at the end of the day, what he wants more than anything is one thing: to be recognized as the best of his generation. And who knows, maybe even earn the respect of everyone who still doubts him. Before we move to the next story, what's your prediction? Is Jayson Tatum really the player with the most to prove in the playoffs? Because if he takes that next step and shuts up the critics for good, then there's no more conversation. What's coming next will leave everyone speechless. While Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum dominate the spotlight, we can't forget that the success of the Boston Celtics also depends on other faces who have been showing their worth, especially in the more crucial parts of the season. The team has a surprising depth that not only adds value to the collective game, but also provides the flexibility needed to adapt to the challenges of the playoffs. One of the biggest surprises of the season has been Kristaps Porzingis' performance. The unicorn, as he's known, came to the Celtics with a massive amount of pressure on his shoulders. Many saw him as an enigma, someone who still needed to prove himself. The question that always loomed was, will he stay healthy during the playoffs? But what we've seen so far is a highly efficient player who contributes not only on offense but also on defense. With his ability to space the floor and his presence in the paint, Porzingis has shown why he was such a crucial addition to the team's depth. And that brings us to the collective performance question. The Celtics have demonstrated more than ever that their success doesn't rely solely on one star. Yes, Tatum and Brown are the pillars, but the team has functioned as a true collective unit. Jayson Tatum has the responsibility of being the leader, but players like Al Horford, Derek White, and Malcolm Brogdon have been indispensable in keeping the quality of play when it matters most. For example, Derek White's impact on defense has been notable, not to mention his ability to step up offensively when Tatum and Brown aren't at their best. This balance within the roster is something other teams envy. We can't forget how the Celtics have been managing player substitutions. With Coach Joe Mazzulla's approach, the rotation of minutes has been masterfully done, and the team's depth ensures that there's always someone on the court who can make a difference. Of course, no one expects the team to make it to the finals without relying on the stars, but the support from the second unit is crucial for success in a 7-game series. Now, there's one question that's been buzzing among fans. Can the Celtics keep up this intensity throughout the playoffs? The wear and tear will be huge, and the opposing teams will be ready to take advantage of any slip-up. A 7-game series is draining, and the Celtics will need every player at their best to carry the weight of the competition. Will Porzingis' health and Brown's ability to play through pain take their toll? This will be a major test for the roster, which will have to deal with key players managing injuries and the pressure of the season. However, the question remains, can this team overcome the pressure and challenge the opponents with such a well-structured rotation, even with all the obstacles? If all goes well, the Celtics might just be the most balanced and hardest team to beat in the playoffs. What do you think, Celtics fan? Will the team's depth carry us to the end, or will someone need to step up even more to win the title? Drop your comments below because the game is just getting started. Now we've reached the fourth and final story, and this one will mess with any fan's mind: the Celtics strategy in the 2025 playoffs. Of course, we're not just talking about who's playing well and who's not. We're talking about how Joe Mazzulla, our head coach, will organize everything to ensure the team has the tactical performance needed to be unbeatable in the highest pressure moments. The regular season was a showcase for all the adjustments and challenges the Celtics faced. The defense was solid, but the offensive transition at times left something to be desired, especially when the team had to come from behind. Tatum and Brown are powerful weapons, but the Celtics can't just rely on their offensive strength to win in the playoffs. If a team can neutralize these two stars, the team needs to be ready to respond with alternatives. That's why one of Mazzulla's biggest challenges will be diversifying the offensive strategy. We can't afford to see the team becoming predictable with the ball in critical moments. The isolation tactics, which work well with Tatum, might become ineffective when the opponent adjusts and limits the movement of our main guy. The solution? More off-ball movement, team-designed plays, and inclusion of players like Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon to add unpredictability. Another debate happening behind the scenes is the usage of Kristaps Porzingis. The unicorn has shown to be a versatile offensive threat, but his defensive inconsistency could still be an issue in situations where the Celtics need defensive intensity and agility. Porzingis needs to be more aggressive in shot blocking and rebounding, especially against teams with physical and dynamic offenses. However, his ability to space the floor and pull defenses out of the paint provides a tactical advantage that the Celtics can exploit even more efficiently. And let's not forget about the collective defensive performance. While the defense has been solid for most of the season, there have been situations where the Celtics faltered in perimeter defense. This adjustment will be crucial for playoff performance, where mistakes aren't allowed. When facing teams like the Milwaukee Bucks or Miami Heat, the Celtics will need a tighter defense, and controlling the three-point line will become essential to keep the team competitive. With roster moves and more time together, Mazzulla has the chance to implement a more fluid and balanced system for the playoffs. Brown's injuries and the pressure on Tatum can be overcome with a collective approach, taking advantage of the tactical skills of other players. The Celtics have what it takes to overcome any challenge. The only question is, will the execution be perfect in the clutch moments? And finally, there's one crucial point: roster depth. It's no secret that teams with deeper and more balanced rosters tend to have more success in long, grueling series. The Celtics can't afford to fall into the trap of relying solely on Tatum and Brown. We need everyone to perform, especially in high-level games. The ability to have a reliable rotation with players who come in and out without a drop in performance will be a major differentiator in the finals. Now, fan, I want to know, what do you think the Celtics need to adjust to succeed in the playoffs? What's going to be the key to overcoming the toughest challenges and securing that second consecutive title? Drop your comments below because your opinions are crucial to this discussion. So, folks, what do you think about everything that's been going down? Will Jaylen Brown be able to handle the pressure and make it through the playoffs? Or will his injury derail the team's performance? And Jayson Tatum, will he finally shut the critics up and prove to everyone that he's the best player in the league? Let's not forget about the team's depth of Mazzulla's strategy, which will be put to the test. Does the Celtics have what it takes to repeat as champions, or will we face unforeseen struggles? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments.